Hello. I think I'm a minute late. I apologize for being late. I got one last resume. I saw it in my inbox and I was like, oh no. I was trying to make sure to redact all the information. But thank you for joining me on this lovely Friday. I am off today, so I am feeling pretty good. So let me know if you're joining me. If you are here, Amanda, George, Lewis, and Patrick, let me know because I have your resumes on deck. So if you guys are off today, like that is a blessing because who can argue with a 3-day weekend? Like I swear to God, the show that I'm on, we got through the week basically just very happy because we knew we had Friday off. Having Friday off is great. Like there's one way of like going about a week when you have Monday off and knowing you have 4 days, but when you're like starting on a Monday, you have Friday off, it is amazing. Hello Amanda, hello Obi-Wan, thank you for joining my Obi-Wan is basically my number one fan. I'm pretty much hey, okay, so we have George with me and Chris Tells, I want you to know that I have gotten your emails and I have read them. I just have not been able to give you the time to respond to them because there's a lot to unpack there. So I definitely will get back to you, Chris. No worries. I just want to let you know that I have your emails. I have read them. And thank you for just emailing me all that stuff. And Sayad Salam, happy Friday. Happy Friday, guys. Thank you for joining me. I'm happy to be here on a different time because I know that sometimes they say, as a YouTuber, you got to be consistent. And I usually do my live streams on Sundays, once a month, twice a month if I can, Sundays at 1 o'clock Eastern time. But if I can get different times, usually I can hit up different people who can join me at different times of the week and of the day. So I am very, very happy to be here on a Sunday. So, so no worries. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you, Chris, for just being here, watching the live stream. I believe, Chris, you've just kind of fallen upon my channel from what I remember from your email. But yes, thank you so much for even bringing me into your life, people who seek my help and my advice. I'm very, very grateful that I can even help people and they're like, yo, Amber, help me out. And I'm giving me the opportunity to actually help people. So we have Mel here. Thank you so much for being here, Mel. So I'm going to jump into resumes this month. I almost didn't do one because, getting into the swing of my show, I'm like, do I have enough time? It takes a lot of discipline and time management to do the work week that I have on a show as an AD and then jumping into Beyond Film School stuff. I haven't released a video this month, but I have written one, so it is coming. It's about AD problems, so that video will be out. It's kind of like maybe my therapy, writing a video about AD problems, not exactly complaining, but I wrote a video talking about some of the problems that ADs encounter and some of the things that we as a department that no other department kind of really deals with, it's very specific to assistant director problems and the stuff that we deal with on a daily basis and the stuff that we have to, I hate saying deal with or, tolerate. I don't know. But these are specific problems to the AD department. So I'm hoping I can shoot probably today or tomorrow, hopefully edit it on Sunday, maybe, who knows. But I don't know if you guys can tell, but I have a cold. So we're going to try and get through this live stream with not a lot of coughing and not I can feel a little nasally. It started to brew yesterday and now I'm full on cold today. So I'm going to try and get this. I wasn't not going to do this live stream. So we're going to jump into the resumes. But before I do, I just want to let you know that any questions that you guys have, I'm happy to answer them. This is why I do it. Yes, the resumes, I love doing the resume review, but also if you have film industry questions, film career questions, I am here to answer them. So just put them in the chat and we'll try to get to them because we'll have time. I think that my voice might make it to 3:30. I think that might be my cutoff time, or if not, we'll see how it goes. I just took one of those really powerful cough drops. The Mucinex cough drops are really so my throat feels very moisturized. I'm afraid to actually drink anything to take away any of the healing properties of this cough drop that I just had. So I'm gonna start with Amanda because Amanda, MVP here, channel member, and also she's a alumni of my online course, so she gets first priority. So we're just gonna go on to Amanda's resume now. Amanda, she has been in this review multiple times, and her resume and just her experience has come such a long way. And there are a few things, Amanda, I saw, and then sometimes she'll submit her resume and I'm like, there's nothing really I can change here, so I'll leave it for the next revision that you have. But this one, she has done a lot of work, okay? She has really grinded it out. She has not given up. She has networked, and she is like really getting herself out there. Because I don't know, Obi-Wan, maybe you might have remembered her resume from before. And Amanda and Obi-Wan, you guys are all part of the same Facebook group. And if you guys want to be a part of my Facebook group, I will leave that link for you. It's called The Filmmaker Start. It's on Facebook. And like, you know, we share certain things, and I share programs that like may give you a leg up, or just, you know, moral support and like inspiration to try to keep everyone motivated to keep going in the film career. But they're part of the same group. And maybe Obi-Wan, if you remember her resume from what she had before a couple revisions ago, this is like wildly different. And now she's got a bunch of credits that she can, you know, work with now. And she kind of started from nothing. She had some live television experience, so she kind of started from nothing, but she's gotten a lot of days in the recent, like, last couple months. So this has been like I love seeing the growth, Amanda. I just gotta say, like, I love seeing the growth, like, and I can't wait till the day, like, we work together again, because when we worked on the morning show, you were at the very beginning of your career. So, like, when I see you on set again, and we cross each other's paths on set, if there's growth there, I'm just gonna be like, wow, you came a long way. I mean, on paper, you've definitely come a long way, and you've definitely, like, gotten around to get more work, and I think it's amazing. So, all right, so the first thing I'm going to start with is, like, I just want to point out, like, her use of color is always great. I love it. And the way she is, outlined it. This is pretty much what format you're going to use. If you have experience, you have credits, this is the format you're going to use. You're going to, like, have your position bolded first on the left-hand side, because we read left to right. And then she has all the ADs she's worked for as a set PA. You usually have to have your supervisors, your bosses, whoever is above you on your resume. Because whether you like it or not, they are used as your references, guys. There's no, like, references upon request or all that stuff. We are going to take the reference from whoever, like, whatever name that we recognize, that is the name we're calling, and be like, hey, Ryan Clutch. Like, actually, me and Ryan Clutch, we're actually really good friends. We work together on Any Within. Love Ryan, he's amazing. We love Clutch, and we have, like, and I know Marlon Small, so I would call them too about you and be like, hey, do you know Amanda? How is she on set? Like, what is she all about? What is what do you have to say about her? So, hey, Curio. He's going to pop in and pop back out. So, her resume's come a long way, and she's doing a lot of the stuff the right way. Now, the only thing I have to say about this is that the way you're aligning your second AD, like, the first ADs are fine because they're all in the same alignment on the left. But then you have second, and it's, like, weaving. You're missing some spaces there, and that is something, like, I'm a real stickler for format. So when I see you're missing spaces or adding too many spaces, that you got to fix it. Somehow you have to make sure you're fixing, because your key PA is all the key PAs. That seems all straight except for Winston, that key PA, and then Stuart, where we're on the morning show, that one is a little bit off. So you really got to watch your spacing, because now, I may be nitpicking about the spacing between, or, like, you know, it might be commas and periods and spaces where they're, you know, wherever the spaces might occur or not occur, even though it might be one, it really just is distracting. You can tell right away if something is not aligned properly, and it will bother the person's eye, and it will be like, it'll be seen as messy, and they won't spend as much time looking at it, okay? So that is something, like, you have to fix. Also, now, since you've been doing a lot of days on, this cough drop is, like, really working for me. I should have brought another one up with me. This, where you have, okay, I'm looking at, you have FBI Most Wanted Season 5. And then you have FBI Most Wanted Season 5 again. So I understand what you're doing, because you have different sets of ADs. Understood, right? But what I want you to do is, you're going to eliminate that line, because you don't want repetition, because now I know you're counting the day, right? And I think that you're going to get more and more credits. And if they see it twice, they're going to wonder why the same season is on there twice. So you're trying to express that you've worked with another key PA or another tandem unit, or thank you. Rob just brought me a cough drop. If you're working with other ADs, just list the other ADs. Keep the show one line, and then you're just going to list out the other ADs. So you would put, like, for example, you're going to put, like, okay, Craig Langus, comma, the other first AD. And then it might mess up not mess up, but I have this on my resume where you're going to use another line. And that's okay. You're going to use another line, but you can't just put the same show twice. You're going to make sure you put, like, that other set of ADs that you worked with, or the key PA that you worked with. Amanda, I hope you Amanda says hi, Rob. Yeah, so Amanda, I definitely recommend taking off the repetitive show season that you worked on. Now, if you worked a different season, that is definitely another line. So you want to make sure that you have both sets of ADs, because I've worked on shows where it's like revolving ADs, and Equalizer was a perfect example where like we had one set, the odds was pretty consistent, but like on the even set, we had different teams come in and out. They do one episode and then they would leave because they only could do one episode. Not they were fired or they weren't fired or anything like that, but they would come in and do one episode because that's all they were hired for, and they didn't really have any other time to do another episode. So then another set of ADs came in, and then another set of ADs came in. So it was like under Equalizer, I have like 8 ADs. There were a lot there. So just make sure you're listing your ADs there. I think, Amanda, have you changed your about me section? Oh my God, this tea is so good. So even if I was a stunt unit, wouldn't that count? So here's the thing about it. Unless, for example, no, okay, so you kept your about me section the same, so I don't need to comment on that because I've already given you notes on that. So so for example, it's like you have a stunt unit pass by. What is a pass by unit? What were you doing on that one? Like, what was happening on that episode, Amanda? Oh my God, this tea is so good. Because here's the thing, is like the only time that I would list out something is if you were bumped up, or you were even, it doesn't matter what the unit is doing, like say a tandem unit or a second unit or a splinter unit, you were on that thing. It doesn't matter. If it's the same show, it's fine. The only time I would expect to see the same show, same season, another line is if you were bumped up to key PA, or you were like, okay, so you were just doing a car scene, okay? So then it doesn't matter what's happening in the thing unless you were bumped up or re-rated. For example, like for me, if I'm a second on the show I'm on now, if I get re-rated to first, that is another line on my resume. And I will say re-rate or bump up day or something. Like I will specify that I bumped up for that day, on that show. So it would be 2 lines. So I would probably, I don't think, you're stacking your resume, but I think it might actually be misleading if you're stacking it this way. Like I understand where your thoughts are going and where you're thinking about this, with it being like a stunt unit or a pass by unit, but I would take those out because it's not, as long as you're an additional PA, it's really not going to matter unless you were bumped up somewhere. So just so not to like burst your bubble or anything like that, but people are going to be like, what does she mean by this? So it's going to be kind of confusing. So Amanda, let me know if you have any other questions. That's all I really have. But I do love the fact that you use color. You use a different font for your name, and you said production assistant. You have texture in the color at the top. Like, I love all this stuff. So I think, I've worked with so many. Like, I've worked with Anastasia. I've worked with, Ryan Clutch. I've worked with him. I know Connor Kelly. I've never worked with him, but I know him. Let's see who else I worked with on your resume. I don't know anyone else really. I know Hunter, and I know and I worked with Josh. So I worked with actually a lot of ADs on your show. So that is it for Amanda's resume. But she's come a long way. So and also I want to say, if you have gotten your resume revised by me and you want to come on another month, and I'll look at it again if you want. Like as always, I will. So I'm gonna move on to the next resume now. Lewis, if you're with me, let me know. So this is a good question. From George or Jorge. George, right? George? Let me know. Let me know what pronunciation you want. Which app did you use to create this resume? Love the color splashes. So I don't know what Amanda used. I forget if she told me if I asked her, but I know that I've used Canva. Canva has really good resume templates, so definitely look in Canva. And they're actually free to, Canva, great. So they're actually free to export as a PDF. Some other applications that you might use is, okay, good, either is fine. Okay, great, it's George in Spanish. Okay, great, perfect. Okay, so Canva's great, and they let you export in PDF. Some other templates or whatever, they don't let you export in PDF, which is like a pain in the ass. Like, they make you pay the subscription in order to export it. So Canva has them, PicMaker has them. There's a lot of different free softwares that you can use. The only thing is with, Like, I use PickMaker because, like, someone hired me to do, and you can do this too, like, people hire me to actually do a whole overhaul of their resume. Like, they could just give me all the information and I'll design one for them. The only thing I don't really like is like, for me, I used color in Google Docs. You can make them there, but you're more limited in, like, the stylizing of a resume in Google Docs. So I'm like maybe do with that what you will. Also, Google has resume templates, but I see them all the time and they're not the best. So I wouldn't recommend using Google templates. Just not to, talk shit about Google. I love Google. But like, resume templates aren't really that strong, unfortunately. There are a lot of better ones out there. If I had the same key PA and ADs more than once, how would I format it? That's it. So here's the thing. That's only one line. Even though you've been day playing on the same show and you've gotten more and more days, it's still one line. So for example, like for me, back in like 2015, I was on Mysteries of Laura, Madam Secretary. I think I did like a couple days on Blue Bloods or something, all at the same time, all in the same month. And that was only like 3 or 4 lines of my resume, even though I got 15 or 20 days or 17 days or whatever it was bouncing around the show. So even though you're doing more and more days on the same show, it's still one line of your resume. I know you're like, well, I need to go around different shows. But it's good to kind of be on the same show over and over again because people will get to know you more and then the crew will get to know you more. Okay, so just, if you're on the same show, same ADs, it's still just one line. You're just lucky to kind of get days. Like, that's what, right? Amanda, you're AD bound, so like, you're getting them days, girl. Don't worry too much about your resume. Just keep getting those days. Okay, I want to move on to Luis. I think Luis is how we put it, because like Luis and Luis, because I remember I worked with an AD, he spelled his name this way, and it was like Luis. So, your comments, yeah, holy CV webpage, Batman, I hope you I was going to say that if you guys had comments on the resume that you're seeing, like, please give it. Because I think the first impression that you get is the first impression that people hiring these people are going to get too. Now, the first impression I get from this resume is that this is very overwhelming. There's a lot of information. Now, I do love the fact that this person has columned it out. And I've only ever saw one other resume that had 3 columns, and it didn't really work really well for this person. But this, Luis, like, it's not bad. It's just too busy. It can be very overwhelming. And there's so much on the page here that what's happening is people don't know where to look. They don't know where to find those nice bursts of, like, valuable information that you want to have on your resume. So you want to make sure, like, and here is the thing and this is like when you get further and further in your career, you want everyone to know that you have all the experience. So like, hire me for this bigger and better thing, this bigger and better movie, this bigger project, this bigger budget movie, So you want to show all the information, but then it's overwhelming and they don't want to look at your resume. So you really have to like pick and choose. And I'm at that point in my career now where I'm like, I'm starting to take things off, but then I'm like, okay, I just applied to a show. I sent my resume into a show. Like, I knew who the AD was, but not really. Like, I worked with him like almost 10 years ago. I was a baby PA, and then I sent my resume in just was like, hey, I want to throw my hat into the ring. I haven't worked with you in a while, but I remember I learned a lot from you, blah, blah, blah. But like, I'm looking at my resume, I'm like, people who are applying for this job may have like 10 years experience on me. But I'm like, I'm still going to apply for the job because I'm like dope as fuck. And like, I'm hoping that like they want to just try something new, like with an AD they don't know, right? So there is that where you're like, you have that inner battle of like, I want to show that I have tons of experience, but then not overwhelm them with the one page that I get to do that. So I'm trying to make my resume more eye-catching, visually a little panache since I'm art department. Exactly. Google Docs is limiting, as you said. It very much is. So that's definitely like Canva's going to be your friend in this area, 100%. I was always told someone that looks at your resume has only 1 minute to look at it. Not even that. Not even 1 minute. Some people are like 20 seconds. 30 seconds. A minute, I would say, applies if you've really drawn their attention and you've gotten their attention and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, and you've done all the right things, you keep them reading and entertained on this page. A minute is very, very like, that's like a lot of grace that most people will not give your resume. Because like when I was hiring my internship team, I got probably like hundreds of resumes and I was like, I just didn't have time to get through this, like 10, 20 seconds max. And I was like, if they didn't do something to draw me in and like, you know, pop out some way, then I just moved on. I just didn't have time to move on because you're like, you got work to do and then you have to hire people. Like what ends up happening is that people who hire new applicants for something, they're doing that on top of the responsibilities that they already have, you know, unless there's a separate department that does hire people, which is like for the bigger companies and the bigger studios, which is not as prevalent as you would think. Like, for example, when ADs have to hire PAs, we're doing that on our own time. We might be in prep, we might not be in prep, but if we are in prep, then it's like, if we're in prep and then we're looking for our AD team all at the same time, we've already have prepping responsibilities on top of hiring our team. So just keep that in mind. So, man, I love the use of icons. I cannot fault him for this. I love his picture. I love the picture at the top in the background. It's like black and white. It shows some type of, I don't know, they're working with a car. Like, I love the choice here. I love the picture choice. He's smiling. For me, I get good vibes from this resume, so that'd be the only reason why I would give him a minute. But then I'd also have to know that, like, I have to read a lot. It's overwhelming. So here's the thing is you have live events, and Amanda, you also have this on your resume, where live events and scripted television and documentary, those are three different genres that you need to consider making separate resumes for if you want to continue working in all three of those areas. So he has feature films and TV series, and then he has commercials, he has music videos, and then live events, performing, like a lot of this stuff. You got, like, this is all separate resumes. It's just, like, if I'm a feature film person or I'm a scripted television or scripted project narrative type things, like, that is one genre. That is, like, one resume. Commercials, okay, you can mix commercials and that because commercials are technically scripted, so it's fine. Music videos, I would probably put commercials and music videos together. Live events, that's a whole separate resume. Live events, and then performing arts, that's like a whole separate, that's like going into theater type things. And then I didn't even talk about broadcasting. Broadcasting is also another whole other realm. And it's hard to kind of cross over. So if you have three things, like if I'm a broadcast person or if I am a documentary person and you have a bunch of feature film stuff on your resume, like I know that you're not in my realm like I want you to be. Remember, like, we like to put people in boxes automatically, even though we know that we are very intricate beings and we are very unique and we can do multiple things. We have multiple talents. But we want to know that the person we're hiring or working with, that they are an expert in the thing we want them to be an expert in. We want to put them in that box. So if you're putting all the different experiences on your resume, like I have, like, you know, I was a tour director for student groups. Like, I'm not going to put that on my resume. You know, I'm not going to put that. That's a completely different industry, right? Broadcasting is a completely different industry than scripted TV. It's like, yeah, we're working with cameras, we're editing, and we're on the television, but very, very different industry. So I want to keep everyone in mind. And I had to actually, in order for me to see this resume clearly and for everyone to kind of see it, like, not super tiny, I had to, you know, because it is longer, too. It's longer. So it's like, there's a whole lot happening here. I couldn't make it the size of everyone's resume because it just didn't fit. So this is kind of confusing. So you have, Luis has production, and he has the dates like super small there. It's like 2016 to present. I don't really know. What is this? Plus 20? Is that how many things you've worked on? Is that like, I don't know. I would get rid of that. This is like an extra thing that you don't even need to put there. Like, I know what you're saying. You have 20 plus credits of feature films, 20 plus credits of commercials, 40 plus music video. Is that like days, or is it credits or days? I'm not really sure, but either way, we can get rid of that. I'm not into that. We don't need to show it because I feel like you want to express that you have the experience, and this is the box that you are like putting yourself in. You're like, I need to show them that I have all the experience. So you can get rid of those. It's just extra stuff that you don't need. But you have feature films, TV series. You have commercials, music videos, and then television. Why did you split them up? Like, isn't TV series and television, unless you mean broadcast television, so that's different. So, like, yeah, NBC News Live, yeah. I would take that out. I would take this broadcast television out, 100%. I would take out live events, performing arts. I would take all those 1, 2, 3 things out, and then you have space to kind of expand out on the commercials and the feature films and the TV series. Now the other things, let's see, others. Like the fact that you said others and you had no, oh, also you had production in all caps and you have others not in all caps, and that's supposed to be the same format. You want to make sure that you follow the same format all throughout your resume. Whatever you choose, stick to it. Don't confuse me and my eyeballs with, breaking your format and your consistency. So you have others, administrative assistant, social causes. But I mean, I get what you're doing. You want me to know about your other type of work, and you want me to know about what you care about and volunteer things. I feel like that's going to have to go, unfortunately. Other data of interest. Wow. It's like, okay. Possibility of invoice issuing. I don't even know what that means. Possibility. What do you mean? Volunteer and training projects. Music video blog writer. Continuous self-learning. Okay. Continuous self-learning. I love that. You can put that in like your soft skills somewhere in there. Like skills software. I love this. You volunteer in training projects, which is like, are you trying to say you train people? Which is great. Continuous self-learning. Music video blog writer. Like you have other interests now. Music video blog writer, what I will say is that I think that might put you in the realm of like, how the hell are you managing your time? Do you have enough time to even work? Like, are you going to focus on your work? So just be careful about how much stuff you put on your resume and how much you decide to reveal about your personality and what you do on your free time. Because that is something that, for me, I kind of run into, because some people are like, and this is something that happened that me and Rob, when me and Rob first had big conversations, and he was like, you're going to be an AD or be on film school, right? And I was like, no. So, like, I have to choose very wisely who I decide to talk to about how I run beyond film school and how I have an AD career. Because some people are like, how do you have time for all the things? It's no one's business, to be honest, how I have time for all the things or what I put myself through to get through, what I want to do for beyond film school. But don't let people worry about that. You know what I mean? Don't put stuff in your resume that makes people worry about whether or not you can handle your life. We all know you can handle your own life. But burnout is very much for real, and some people are going to do that to themselves. So I would get rid of, okay, so I completely skipped over qualities. Decisive, proactive, versatile, or I think you just say organizative, that's not a word, is it? Am I tripping out? Is that a word or not? I think organization and leadership skills is what should be said. Organization and leadership skills or capacities, that's fine. Communicative skills. So you're conjugating this adverb, right? Right? That's an adverb, right? An adjective. Like it's like you're conjugating the word in the wrong way. Am I tripping out? You can just say communication skills, responsible and involved. I do like those qualities, but I feel like they're in such a low value spot on the resume, and I feel like they should go there, but like they're just like we should put continuous self-learning should be in qualities, if I'm being honest, because that's like some people want to keep learning, and a lot of people that's a personal like value and a quality of a person if they want to keep learning. So I feel like that should be in qualities. So we should break this down into 2 columns. Take out one column, you will be able to get 2 columns with taking out television, broadcast television. If you want to keep those stuff in there, then I would make like a broadcast resume and then like a live events or whatever. Performing arts and live events go together, so you can make that one resume. But it seems like you don't even have that much of broadcasting experience, so I would just take it out. Not that it doesn't count, but it's a different realm and it should be on a different resume. Okay, live events, performing, and then others, I would take those out. I would take out others. So you have like a full column that you can take out. And then you can expand on the good stuff, right? I haven't even gotten over. And it's funny that I went right to experience. I just didn't want to cover that first column, which is like, for me, I wanted to skip over it. And I don't know if anyone else did it with their eyeballs, but like I immediately did not want to look at that column. I don't know why. I have no idea why my eyes wanted to skip over that column, but I did for a reason. So just keep that in mind. Just be like, what is it about this column that makes people skip over it? Maybe it's the color. Maybe it's the fact that there's so much information on the other side of the page, and I'm like, oh, I have to get to this before I get to anything that's on this page and on this side of the page. So keep that in mind. And I think, was it Chris? I have to look at the chat really quick, but the icons. I do love the icons. I love all the places that you worked for. It does make your resume a little bit busy. So maybe once you take out one column, and then you take out like that extra plus 20s that you have, plus 40 and then 6 or whatever, take those out, it'll look less busy, and then maybe you can keep your icons at the bottom. I think maybe we can do that. Like, I'm trying to compromise. So I'm like trying to make sure that you still have the style that you're trying to input here. Okay, so going over to this, like also the LinkedIn, like I don't really know if anyone needs it. Like LinkedIn, I don't know. Just make it a hyperlink, and you could just make LinkedIn a hyperlink. And I think that actually is kind of hard in Canva, because I'm actually kind of going through a problem right now where like they give you the option in Canva to make something a hyperlink, but then it's not clickable, which is like, what are we doing this for? So I would say like I would lose the LinkedIn thing and I know what he's doing. I know what Luis is doing. He's doing the 3-column thing, and his information on this line is matching the 3 columns. So I think maybe if he gets rid of LinkedIn and then he puts, because trust me, if I want to find you on LinkedIn, I'm going to search for your name, and then so you have a picture. So like if I look for you on LinkedIn, I'm going to find you. So, or you can leave the LinkedIn link for your email signature. So just keep that in mind, just to try and keep your, this is not like your LinkedIn profile is not your website, and it's not your portfolio. So I would definitely highly advise taking the LinkedIn off and then just moving over your phone number and your email to match the 2 columns that hopefully you take out. Okay, so education, advanced technician in film and live events production. What does that mean? Where'd you get it from? Did you go to a school? Was it certification? I'm very much confused, because it's not really, you're not specifying education. But also, why is your education so far up? So I got into kind of like a debate here about the education sequence of events on your resume and where education is going to fit into that. Education should be at the bottom, guys. Like, education's at the bottom. Like, once you get all this experience, your education is, like, worth nothing. And it's very hard for people who go to film schools like NYU, or they went to Temple, or they went to USC, or Columbia, or something. And they're very proud because it was fucking hard to get into that school and probably to finish. I understand that. But when you get into the real world, all we really care about is your experience. Did you work on set? Were you working on movies? Were you doing the thing? Were you a PA? Or whatever position you wanted to be in, were you doing that thing? It really doesn't matter unless you are emailing someone who's a part of that school, because then you have higher chances of getting in with that person on that production because you are fellow alumnus, or alumni, So just keep that in mind. Education is not worth what everyone thinks. So that should be moved to the bottom. No one cares about where you went to school unless other people went to that school and they're like, oh, yay. But if they did, they're going to see it and they're going to recognize it, and then they're going to ask questions. Okay, so driver's license, that should, let's see, full geographic availability. That should go at the bottom too. And then you have education, but then you have a certificate. Like, I don't know. You've chosen to put something that's not very valuable in a very valuable, like, high prime real estate area of your resume. So I would recommend putting education and the driver's license and whatever. You have your own car, like, put it at the bottom. And because then you're going to move on you have courses, and then you have skills, software. Because I think quality should be in this column. Complementary courses. Okay, English for film production, I don't care. English for no. Google Suite Office, okay, those are skills, that's fine. Production coordination, these are all like, I think you're labeling the wrong thing. Like, take out the workshops, because I feel like, is this all education? Am I tripping out? Like, I feel like it's not organized in a way that is really telling me what's what. Because you have those 2 lines, and that's throwing me off, because it makes me think that you're giving me different information. So if you have education, and then you have complementary courses, you have English for film production, English for this, okay, then you have the Google Suite Office, online collaborative tools, I think should be under skills. Those should be under skills. Production, coordination, if you haven't done it, I guess maybe you're saying you have the skills to do it. Location management, skills, production assistance, you can take that out because you're telling me in your experience that you have production assistance. Okay, marketing, crowdfunding, that is a skill. Public financing for films, isn't that crowdfunding? Public financing for films, isn't that the same thing as okay, but either way, that's fine. International film markets, film lighting, okay, so the film lighting workshop and film sound workshop, those should go up to top underneath education. Music theory, music production, like, then you're going into, like, the music realm. Okay, so here's the thing, is Okay, so I talked about how scripted television, documentary, reality, and then you have broadcasting, right? And then you have live events and performing, like theater. Those are 5 very different realms, right? So when you think about that and all those stages, right, and all those types of production, entertainment, that's like the big bracket. Those are the big 5, I think, in entertainment. And then you go into, okay, so let's go into scripted, right? So when you go into scripted film and TV, there's stages. Like you have pre-production, production, and then post. So if you're going to put like production, that you are a production assistant, that tells me you are principal photography, you are on set, you are doing the things. Now, if you are telling me you're like sound production and music theory and all that, now that's like going into post. That's going into a different realm. That's not production. That is like sound design and all the things that are just very, very different. So we need to break this up or take it off. Technical production of shows, live shows. See, these things you could put those things right into like the realm of live events and performing arts. Graphic design and layout. Okay, skills, soft skills. So the way you bullet it, so you have soft skills as if you are like soft skills is a label of skills. So you put soft skills in with your skills where it's like how you put it in there. It would be a label. It's not like you're saying you have soft skills, right? That's not correct. I feel like I'm not saying this the right way because soft skills is the category that you would put there. But the way you have it formatted is it makes it look like you're saying you have soft skills. But then you have to specify what soft skills they are, which is time management, communication, public speaking, personal branding, legal aspects, taxation, and HR, which HHRR I think is incorrect. So your qualities that you have here, decisive, proactive, versatile, those are also soft skills. So you need to combine this quality section with your soft skills section and just make sure you're labeling the right way. The small, I'm gonna have to like make this bigger because this is like super tiny. Okay, let's see. It's like university, so it's just like more affiliations, and I would just I would get rid of those ones because then I feel like it's a little bit of overkill with the icons if you're gonna keep the ones at the bottom. You gotta pick and choose. Sorry, there are some questions happening in the chat, and I will definitely get to them. So there's a lot happening here, and what I will say is that with your resume, less is going to definitely be more in his instance. Less is going to be way more, and then he can take out certain things and make separate resumes. Because when you apply to a live event, then they're going to be like, oh, wow, all these live events, all this performing stuff, whatever, this is great. But then when you make a separate resume for scripted, you're going to be able to like extrapolate all the things about your feature film and TV series and all the stuff. But a couple of things you're doing right. Design is great. I love it because I've not seen a resume that looks like this. The gold and versus like this gray is nice. It's okay. Sort of like that. That's like that a purplish tone to this gray, which is nice. It matches with the gold very nicely. You have bolded your position, which is great. You want to make sure that people see that. And then in the gold, you have like what company it was for, which most people want to know what the show was, what the company was, or what company it was for. Was it Netflix? Was it Apple? Was it Amazon? So you're doing a lot of things right. There's just too much of it. And just you have to format it to not make it look that overwhelming. Cool. I'm going to take a breath because I really did that it's a lot going on here. It's a lot going on. But you also did one page and I learned a lot about you. So you just got to eliminate some of the things and separate it out into different resumes. I'm going to go to the chat. Okay, what's we got here? Okay, so it looks like your resume for only 1 minute. Look at it and decide how to act with it. First glance, it is a lot to absorb. Yes. Facts. Okay, the entirety of the left column, not to say it's not needed, but it could be cut by 3/4 and the info would still be enough. Exactly. This is yes. Yeah, I also don't like the bottom icons. I'm trying to like the icons that he uses throughout are fine. There's just too many. Too many. So Chris, from experience hiring employees for the corporate environment, I agree with Obi-Wan. That's a lot down there and so closely spaced. Yes, too much. So given the current negative perspective of the church, would having led a group of middle schoolers in a church life group be left off? So given the current negative, oh gosh. That is a very loaded question, Chris. So you let a group of middle schoolers in a church life group be left off. Now, I guess it depends on what circles you're in, what community you're in. Because if you're submitting yourself to a community that is really like community based around the church, I think it's going to be fine. It just depends on like who your audience of your resume is going to be. Now, if you're a volunteer in like your Bible study group or whatever, I mean, there's nothing wrong with putting certain things on there, but I think you're trying to avoid bias. And if you feel like it might hinder your ability, like your opportunities, then take it off. Whatever makes you feel uncomfortable, like, I don't know if I want people to know this about me, you are free to just take it off. So if you feel some type of way about it, then your gut instinct is like, I don't know. Like some people, like for example, they may have, like for a woman, I'm just going to use the woman. So if a woman has sort of a male or a androgynous name, like my alias is like, a guy name basically. So if I use a male name and then someone does my resume and puts a picture of me on there and they were expecting a man, you know what I mean? Then I've probably lost that opportunity because they're like, well, maybe I don't want to work with a woman. And yes, that is still prevalent because some people think women are too emotional and all these things when they're on set, which I think is bullshit. But either way, it still happens. The bias still happens. So like, you're not forced to put pictures on there or something that it's like no one's telling you to like put your political affiliation on there or your religious affiliation or, anything that, like, you don't want people to know, you don't have to put on there. No one's forcing you to put anything on their resume that, But if you think, like, working with kids, if you are applying to a show that has minors on there and you're like, yes, I've taught I led this group, I taught middle schoolers this, that might be an asset. So it just depends on, like, what you're applying to. So make a separate resume for film experience with all the different departments, positions. Make a separate resume for team or commercial, blah, blah, blah. So it depends. So, Mel, it depends because, for example, for a long time, I was doing scripted TV and I was doing commercials and I was doing music videos, but I was always a first AD, right? So I put all those together. But if I was doing a live performance, that's a different realm. Live performance, I would put it, why not, if I had the space. But if it's like, if my resume is overwhelming, that's what I'm telling him to cut, right? He has to really kind of section these things off. And if you're going for like, I think, Mel, you were going production coordinator route. You were like in the production office realm, I believe. So if you had like production office stuff and then you had, I'm a camera loader, well, that's two different resumes. But if, you have to make sure that it's all a judgment call, because if your resume is overwhelming, you can't have everything on your resume. You have to start dividing these things out. So you have to really get specific and focused on whatever your resume is tailored to. And honestly, and no one likes hearing this. I don't say it very much. But you should be making a resume for the job that you're applying to. So, for example, every time I submit my resume to someone or something or a post or whatever, I look at my resume and I say, what do I need to do to change to make sure I get this fucking job? Sorry to swear, I'm F-bombing. I don't know why I got real aggressive with that, but I look at what's on my resume, what should I take out, what should I add in, what should they know about me so I can get this job? And no one wants to hear that. They can't make one resume and set it and forget it. That is not how it works, unfortunately. This takes a lot of discipline that a lot of people are not willing to put it in. But it takes discipline to make sure your resume is actually connected or somehow tailored to the position you're applying for, whether it's online or in person, or maybe you got that email from that person and you're like, hey, I'm applying for this job, or you were on the Facebook group and you're applying for certain jobs. And you're like, okay, well, this was a more bigger budget first AD job. This was a second job. I have to tailor my resume to that. And I will. And I'll make the changes. And also, like, making sure you update your resume. Like, once every time you get a job. Usually I do it after every job I get, if I get a staff job. So, and if I'm day playing at the time, then maybe every month or two, I'll say, what am I missing? I worked on Equalizer for a few days. I worked on this show for a few days. Maybe I'll make sure to put it on there. Do I take things off? Yes, I do. I don't have every single day player day as an AD that I've done. I take it off. If I feel like it's not going to help me in any way, I take it off. And some people are very much obsessed with keeping every single day they've done on set. Make sure you you give the space and the breadth to the things you want them to see. And I think that's what people are like, no, I need them to know that I did everything, but you want them to know that you were, a staff second. I'm just using myself as an example. Like, I want them to know that, yes, I was bumped up to a first AD a couple times or whatever the case. So you want to make sure that you are making things pop out on your resume, and you make sure that people see them and you don't overwhelm them with every single detail on your resume. All right, so I'm going to have to go back a little bit. Oh God, the only one, I don't know. Leading a group of middle schoolers doesn't really have anything to do with the job, really, unless you see a film crew as a bunch of middle schoolers that need to be reined in. Well, you know what? Some shows I have felt like I was just the crew babysitter. I'm going to be completely honest. Experience should be on the left column since it's the first thing your eyes go to. No, so here's the thing. It's like, George, not necessarily. So here's the thing, is that, like, prime real estate is going to be the left-hand column, right? But if you mess with your format and you're dividing your page up into certain columns, then your eye will take a certain turn. So it just depends on how the style you're using and what format you're using and how you're using the columns to your advantage. So the rule of, like, making sure that position's on the left, if you are just no columns, that makes sense, right? You would use the leftmost space on the left-hand side of the page. But if you're using different columns, then your eyes tend to do something different. So it just depends on what format you're using. So the way he did it, just going back to his resume, like, and this is a perfect example, because when I looked at his resume, I was like, for whatever reason, I just skipped over this gray column. I don't know why, but I went right to the middle column and I went right to experience. And it could be because it said education at the top. Who knows? But what I'm saying is that it's like, you can mess around with like where your eyes go automatically or whatever, but or maybe my eyes went to the middle column because it was in the middle and he divided his page up into 3 columns. So it all depends. It's like, and the only way you can figure this out is if you give your resume to someone and say, hey, what do you see first? Anybody, just go to anybody. It doesn't matter if they're like, maybe they're a teenager and they have no job experience, or maybe they're super advanced and they've been in the corporate world for 30 years. It doesn't matter who they are. If they're like someone who can understand what a resume is, say, hey, what do your eyes go to first? Do that test and see what happens. And it depends on what format you're using. Okay, so, okay, education should be on the right. Education only goes first if you have 0 to low experience. That is true. Education, you need to extrapolate all the things when you have a lot of coursework and stuff if you have no experience. This is very, very true. So, George, you are right about that. Okay, no, I agree. Separate resumes for different positions. Once you have enough experience for one, there's enough experience here in multiple resumes. Resumes should be for one goal, one position. Exactly. Was just looking at his social causes info, and it took a lot of organization. I'm new and don't have any pro set experience. So, yeah, it just depends. Like, organization, like, the way he did it, I think you're saying more than one thing here, Chris. I'm not sure. But, like, what he had to do to get to that resume took a lot of work. And I definitely have to agree. Like, to get all this organized as it was, as it is now, definitely a lot of thought went into this and a lot of work went into this. And I'm not saying this is definitely not the worst resume I've seen. So, like, good job, first of all. But we can make it better. And that's why you're here. That's why you submitted your resume to me. Okay. There are faith-based production companies. It depends on who you're applying for to work for. Yes, 100%. Same with me. I have a lot on it already, and I even think it's overwhelming. Eventually, I want to get rid of the live TV experience on the resume, so should I leave it for now? Yeah, you have the space, Amanda. You have the space, and I actually was going to say, like, that might be the first thing to go. Like, when you start running out of space, your live television experience, boop, I would take it right out. I didn't mention it because, like, you didn't need to remove it because you still have space to work with here. So once that happens, then yeah, you would probably take that out. I'd probably take the live TV off if it's not the format you're working. Exactly. You can always keep it for you do live again. So just make a copy, take it out. Yes, exactly. You're working towards the word count is going to be high. All right. So resume 3 is George, and he's been with us in the comments. He's been a lot of great feedback, so thank you for that, George. A lot of things happening here. Now, you are using the 2-column system a bit here. Like, it's not, like, there's not lines, which is fine, but, like, you're using that system, but for whatever reason, I know it gets it's a little discombobulated for me. Let's see. I like how you have your name and your information, you have set dresser on there. I love that. Now your summary, it's so offset. There's got to be, like, and I know why, because it's like you have other experience and you're trying to make this fit and all align on the same line. But summary, the way it is, we're just gonna make it bigger just for our sake of looking at it. So summary is like kind of just floating there. I think that with this, you could break your format. And set dresser, interested in set decorations and production design. I enjoy working in leadership roles with positive creatives for world building, vivid settings, allowing characters to come to life. I love what you said. That tells me that, like, you're in it to win it and you have a passion for set dressing, and, like, I love set dressing too. So I wish I could be a set decorator too. I always say if I wasn't an AD, I'd be a set dresser. So you can, maybe if you make this just a few words longer, and then break your format and take set dresser all the way to the side. So you're like breaking your format with your summary of yourself, your personal summary. I think that would be something really good for you to do because it breaks it up, and then this information doesn't really get formatted into your experience. Okay, so I would suggest taking that all the way to the left and breaking your format a little bit, and then moving down your highlights. Now, I'll get to skills in a minute, but the fact that this is like you're breaking your format down there is actually, it's disturbing a little bit. And I'm telling you to break your format at the top, and I'm only telling you that is because it's not because it can be done always, but your summary is you're talking to the person, right? And you have a chance to break your format because you are talking to the person. You are like, that's your time to get personal with them. Like, hey, this is what you need to know about me, right? And then when you go into your experience, that's when you can format that, because that's a different type of information you're giving them, right? You're giving them the professional, whereas like the summary is a little bit more the personal. I'm going to be honest, I don't know if I like highlights, because highlights tell me like, oh, you can look at this. Like, this is some, like, highlights, it's like, yes, this is my best. Maybe that's what you're trying to go for, but I don't like how it's called highlights. I would rather you would say experience or professional experience or on-set experience or something. Highlights is too general, and I feel like it's not selling it enough. It almost sounds like highlights is a bonus, not highlights as in you need to look at this. This is my experience. You need to know. Okay, set decorator, lead person. So you were a set dresser. And they're so far away. It's so far away. I don't know why, but it makes me feel like the distance is like, it's like they just need to be slightly, this alignment needs to be slightly closer to the position that's bolded. Like, you're doing the right things here. You're bolding your position. It's on the left-hand side of the page. That's fine. But it almost gets lost, like they're not connected to each other. I'm almost like I'm looking to see like if they're on the same line, because it's like so much bigger and it's different. And it's like the titles of the projects you worked on are italicized and they're in quotes, which is good. But I feel like they're not like close enough. Like, I don't know why it's bothering my eyeballs. And then you have other experience, drone crew. Or you could probably put related. Maybe you can put related because it's still in film. Because other experience or related experience, I think might be better. Related experience, because you're still saying, oh, okay, yeah. So you have background artists. You should probably take that out. I'm trying to prevent myself from sneezing, guys. And I've been like sneezing all day. I'm surprised I made it this long and did not sneeze. So drone crew, related. Background artist, take that out because that's in front of the camera. Completely different. And that's also, Mel, that's probably like one more thing you're like, oh my God, I have to, like, because if you are a background artist, that's like, you're in front of the camera, that's a completely different realm as well. It's like in front or behind, that's it. But I would just take that out. I mean, that's dope that you work for the Iron Claw, though. That's pretty dope. And you were a runner, ESPN. and the special ed teacher, East Baton Rouge Public Schools. I think that would be like other experience, right? I wouldn't. Why? How come you being on the drone crew and the runner isn't on your top portion? Because you have set dresser, best boy grip, set PA, audio PA. With the drone crew, how come you didn't feel like that fit into highlights, and how come the runner didn't feel into well, I guess like ESPN is broadcasting, right? So maybe it doesn't fit there, so it would probably stay in your other experience. You'll have a lot of training and affiliations. Are you using a different font size? I can't tell, because I know you use a different one way down there where it's super small. IT. Oh, wait, IT was a great. Wait, let's see. I like to input. I was trying to fit a bunch into the letter size. Yeah, it should stay letter size, and that's fine. But I think there's so much spacing here where you could you're using a lot of space where you have summary highlights. Like there's a big gap there. You can probably get that a little bit smaller. And you're doing this in what? You did this in Word or Google Docs, I think. Let's see, certifications, Red Cross, Uplift Foundation, Google Workspace Educator. It is in Google Docs. Okay, yeah. Google Docs is you really have to, I think if you're going to go with Google Docs, I think you should probably just go with your regular, gosh, I'll show mine. I wish I could just show my resume right now. I'll show, but you would probably go with something like this instead. You see what I'm saying? I think this might be a better format for you to do it. This format, it's just there's an emptiness to it that makes me feel like there's nothing really on it, and it's I don't know, it doesn't do you any favors, because usually for example, you have highlights and then you have your positions there, but then you have training and affiliations and there's nothing there. It's almost, maybe you could put IATSE on the side there or something, or you should be able to put something underneath there. You should be able to bold something there if you're going to continue with this format. Certifications. Yeah, I definitely would recommend let's see, I definitely need a better app to use. I like the Canva Color Pop, I agree, and it's work. Yeah, so go in Canva and just play around with some stuff. Play around with it, and I 100%, there's going to be some nice, I saw that you are using the light green, the dark green. There's going to be some really good formats that you can play with to figure out what works for you. But all the training and affiliations are getting lost on me, because I'm just OSHA, that's good, that stands out. Safety paths, okay. Welding, mold make. Okay, so these are all the things that are working when weapons are on set. Rough terrain forklift, PA intensive course, locations course. So yeah, Novak is really great too, by the way. I know they're those people. I think that what they do down there is great. I think maybe trying to figure out what you can divide out. If you're trying to go for set dressing, I would divide things that are art department training, right? You have that, and then you have the welding and the mold making. That's more art department, and more set dressing and set decoration and set production. Maybe have those trainings very much apparent, and then take out the locations course and the PA intensive course, because that's not really related to your set dressing goals, right? So let's see, the OSHA, I think that's fine, because that's all the crew positions, and if you're set dressing and maybe you would need those. I know the forklift one is more grip and electric, which our department and set dressing, they have their own thing. Sometimes that is a thing when they're you're actually building the sets. Certifications the American Red Cross, that might be able to go, but you have the room to play with it. I think you just have to work on the formatting here. The information here is fine. Okay, so I'm going to get down to your skills section. Okay. I do grip too. So so you do grip, right? So you grip, but then you have to make sure that I know that you are, is this all your experience? Because I know it's super, super hard to divide out information when you don't have that much experience to divide out, where it's like, I've been a PA, and then I'm gripping, and then I'm set dressing, and I'm doing all the things. But since you called yourself a set dresser, and your production design, you have that you're like you're going toward that, then it's like, well, your grip stuff is kind of like a separate section, right? So like set dressing and like maybe, I mean, you probably could divide out your resume, and when you have this, like when you have experience as a set dresser, and then you could do like your trainings underneath what would relate to your set dressing and production design, set decoration goals, you can have that as one section. And then maybe like related experience would be grip, your PA, like you've been on set, you're showing that you've been on set, so it's related experience, right? So the other thing I would suggest is like maybe you have a grip resume where you do that in reverse, where it's like the gripping stuff, the OSHA, the forklift, and all that stuff, where it'd be at the top, and then maybe your PA, your set dresser stuff is at the bottom as related. So you're just like gonna flip flop. Okay, so for your skills, we gotta blow this up because it's like super teeny tiny. Prop building, Greeking, painting, fiber. That's great. Carpentry, plumbing, electrical, welding. You told me you had forklift training and affiliations up there, so I don't know if you need it down here in skills. LED video, wall assembly, install, furniture. Highly effective under pressure. Oh, yeah? Just kidding. I have to, like, make sure this is above. Hold on. Let me fix. Oh, no, I don't. I'm, like, cutting off my video. Okay, so concise communicator. Okay, public speaker. Quick learner, empathy, positive, multi-project management, exceptional critical thinking skills, workspace product design. This is all really great stuff you're saying, but make sure it's the same font as all the stuff above. And I think that's where a lot of people are like, but I'm trying to fit it in. You know, there is a lot of spacing here that you can play with, like these big gaps. Yes, have some space, but I think the space that you have is a little bit too much. And I think skill versus safety training. Yeah. I started a career change when things picked up between before the strike, and then nada. My main goal is art. Okay. Good to know. I think right now, I think the problem is that you feel contained and too restricted in Google Docs. And I think once you start to kind of like have a different format to play with, I think other information, because I think like the things that you're like, like making sure your position's bolded and like you dividing out information, making sure certain things pop. But then when you get down to skills, like you're saying really great stuff here, but it's so small. So you make sure you don't want to go, what font size off the top of your head, if you know, is your skills section? Because like you want to make sure that you shouldn't really go lower than 9 point font, 10 point font. I think 9 is like the smallest you should go. Yeah, 8. 8's a little pushing it. You want to make sure it's easier on your reader. So there are a lot of great things here, and then I think what I really want you to do is go in Canva, do this over, divide some of the information out, play with the format in Canva, and then come back for the next review, and then we'll review that and see what you come up with. Because I really think that, you know, once people are like, I want to do something different, and then, you know, because I like Vanessa, she was just in my last Set PA class, and her resume was clean, it was concise, sort of like this one. And it just kind of was like, it wasn't hitting it for me. I was like, you know, you want to be a music video director, and on your resume, it doesn't really tell me that. Like, I don't see any creativity. I don't see a vision here. And then she was like, you know what? I had this thought. I wanted to do this. And then her resume was like night and day. Her resume came out like beautiful. And I was like, show me what you thought you wanted to do, what you're playing with. And we went with that, and like, it came out like amazing. So I think that your resume, because you want to work in the art department, you have a really good chance to play with your creative energies and put it on the page. And I really, really want, like, definitely go on Canva and do it. It's meh, and art is not meh. That's right, exactly, right? So it's like for me, my resume, since I work in logistics as an AD, it's like mine doesn't have to be fancy. Do I use color now? Yes, I do. But like, I don't have to be creative. Like, 'cause I'm not a DP, I'm not a director. I mean, I don't have to, my resume doesn't have to say, you know, creative. My resume has to say organized. So if my resume doesn't look organized, then it's like, all right, well, what does that say about me as an AD, right? So I think, yeah, so definitely bring it back for next month. I haven't set that date yet, but definitely next month. we'll look at it for sure. So I have one more. He was my last one. Patrick was like my very last, my last resume, and it's 2 pages. Patrick, I hope you're here, because 2 pages is not going to cut it. Guys, 2 pages is not the thing you do with your resume, okay? It's 1 page only. Now, 2 pages goes if you're in, like, some other countries are like, if you don't have a 4-page resume, like, for example, I was working with someone in Quebec, and she had, like, a 4-page resume, and I was like, Lord Jesus. And I was like, if you're trying to get American-type jobs, this is not going to fly. But I know that in other countries, if you don't have a 4-page resume, it's kind of like you're not worth your salt, right? So the challenge is when you are in America is like getting all the information on the page, make sure all the information pops, because we want it short, concise, quick. We want to see all the things very, very quickly. That's the American challenge. If you're in other countries, then it makes sense where you're like, you have time to look at a resume, you're taking the time to read all the pages, they have tons of experience and all that. Like, okay, other countries, but in America, 1 page, okay? And from what I understand, you are American and you're working on American sets, I believe. So one thing I do want to address is that the way that this resume was saved, holy academic essay Batman, yo, for real, that I didn't even get to address it, but that is the first impression I get. It's a lot of paragraphs. We don't want paragraphs, right? So let's look at like his 2 pages. A lot going on here. A lot going on. Okay? A lot of paragraphs, a lot going on. So Patrick, I think, is I don't know. He didn't really give me anything in his email. Because I think he saw my post, and he was like, let me get my resume in there. Last minute, like, got it. Luckily, he sent it, and I got it in. May not have a lot, but we're going to jump into the information. But what I want to address first is how you save your resume file. Some people are like, resume, and then that's it. Do you know how many people do that? Like, they save their resume as, like, resume.pdf. That's it. Now, if you go into the perspective of the person that has to hire you, saving all those files, put your last name. Put, like, A.Sherman_res, then the date, if you want to get fancy. That's what I do. I put Sherman, res, and then the date, because I keep track of, like, my revisions. I put the date. Every time I revise it, I put the date on the end of the file. Because, like, how many times have I downloaded my resume from Google Docs? Probably hundreds of times now with each revision. So I know that when I pull up the resume, I want my most recent one, and the dates will tell me what my most recent one is, right? Not to mention that I have it in my Google Docs. I have it saved. So when you save your resume, you want to make sure you put your last name, at least your first initial, in that. If you want to go above and beyond, put the date in there, because then you're keeping track for yourself. That's for your, like, own purposes. But for them, it's like, don't just save your resume as film resume or production resume. It's like, put your name. Let's all be adults here. Okay. I like the fact you use color. We'll never fault you for that. I love it. Okay, so Patrick, your name is nice and big. Now, I blacked out his address. We don't put physical addresses on our resumes anymore because no one needs to know where you live except for payroll, and you do not need it on your resume, okay? So email, phone number, good enough. That's it. Overview. Highly motivated English major with an encyclopedic so, I'm going to say that word, guys. Knowledge of film and television. Comfortable managing large number of staff in high-pressure situations. See, you're telling me your skills. This should be bulleted out. Just give me bullet points. So maybe it's not in your overview. Maybe it's not in your first paragraph. Desire to apply my curious nature, social skills, worth ethic, and passion for film. Please tell me, like, the passion for film really gets me. Everyone uses that they have a passion for film. Find another word to express this energy. I hate seeing passion on a resume. I don't know why, but now it's becoming a buzzword that I don't want to see on resumes, and I think it's very much overused. It's more and more. It's like multitasker and a team player. That, like, it gives that type of energy. So passion for film, like, I get passion. Passion for me means, like, if people have passion, and I know Rob probably agree with me or disagree with me here. He's probably going to fight me on this, but he uses passion a lot. And when someone has passion, they have energy. There's a fierceness to it, right? But also with passion comes fieriness, comes like sometimes you can get a little too emotional with it. Sometimes you can't get your temper in check. So passion can be seen in a very interesting and sometimes negative way. So I would be very cautious to use the word passion. Try to find something a little bit more intricate, a little bit more detailed as far as like what adjective you want to say you are about film. You know, I know it's more than interest, and I know people are like, I have a passion for this, and that's what it is, but also like passion for film also gets overused. So just putting it out there. Okay, into a career. In the last 3 years, I've decided my time between Los Angeles and Boston, interning in production offices and working on film sets. In the last 3 years, I've divided my time between Los Angeles and Boston, interning in production offices and working on film sets, learning and loving both facets of the business. I have a burning aspiration. That's okay. Burning aspiration is like literally almost passion, but like I love burning aspiration. I love that for some reason. It sounds better. To pair my voracious appetite for reading and script coverage with my passion for on-set filmmaking. Now, you're using some nice words here. I love it, but we got to take it out of paragraph form, make it a little, like, some of the things that you're telling me are, like, skills that you have, which I love to learn about you, but the paragraph is too long. The paragraph is too long. It's a little too wordy. We got to condense this down, make it into bullet points so you have a nice skills section, okay? I'm looking at that PA set experience. Okay, so your overview is highly motivated. Highly motivated. How does everyone else feel about highly motivated? I'm not sure. I'm being very critical of certain words that are being used, but it makes a difference. Your word choice does make a difference. It really does. Highly motivated. English major. I don't know if I care if you're an English major. I'm trying to break this down so you have to cut out the fluff when it comes to your summary. You don't want it to be too long, but you want it to be concise, and you want to use the right words to make sure that you are getting the message across, but you're not boring them at the same time to get through a very long resume. Remember, you have a 20-second window to do this. It needs to be shorter, and we're going to extract some of the skills that you've put in there, and we're going to put that into a different section, and we're going to bullet those out. So then maybe, I think like in the last, maybe like, you can literally say bi-coastal for the last 3 years, interning, production office, I'm working, and interning, you can say probably interning in production offices and on set. You don't say working on film set, you can say on set. So that cuts out a lot there. Learning and loving both facets of the business. You can take that out. I understand you love the business on both sides. But you interning for the last 3 years being bi-coastal tells me that you love the business on both sides. It's fine. And you work in the office and on film sets. Like you're telling me, like if you say interning in production offices and on set, that tells me all I need to know. And I think if you say I have a burning aspiration to pair my voice appetite for reading and script coverage with my passion for on-set filmmaking, like you can say film production, my passion for film production, instead of saying on-site filmmaking. I think that's a little bit more wordy. You can shorten all this out. So I think that's definitely recommended. Okay. So the thing is, this PA set experience. So you have PA - space, which to me, I don't like it because there should be either no space there after the dash or a space before the dash to make it consistent. PA is all bolded, and then you have experience all bolded, and I don't know why set is not all bolded. So I would make it all consistent. So let's just put that out there. Okay, perfect couple, investigators, the challengers, Madam Web. Like you've worked on a bunch of stuff. This needs to be listed out. Right? If these are the things, right, the shade, challengers, Madam Web, like if you worked on all those things, these are all credits. They need to be listed out. They need to be bulleted. They need to, like, not necessarily bulleted, but they need to be listed out. Set PA, walkie PA, inventory, and collection of walkies provided. But perform last man duties for the run. Okay, you can take all this out. Additional stuff. Like, you need to, yeah. So you're going to take that paragraph. You're going to take out, like, wherever you are a set PA, boom, that's that credit. And then wherever you're a walkie PA, boom, that's that credit. You're going to pair this paragraph, all the things you're telling me here with this paragraph, with the amount of things you've worked on. You need to list these things out and follow this format. So once you have, we're gonna combine the movies with the position you held, because what's happening is you're telling me the movies you worked on, and you're really relying on the fame of the movies or whatever project you worked on. All I really care about, first and foremost, the one thing I care about is the position you were in. and then the movie, and then like the company. So that is the priority. So let's just make sure we understand that. Then you have internships, Bold Films, Intrigue Productions, the Park Artist Group. Okay, so these are companies you've interned for. Then maybe you have that section that says internships. You list them out, and then you can bullet your responsibilities. Okay, then you can have those concise bullets. 3, I would say if they're intern, 1, 2, 3. You have 3 internships. I would say 2 bullet points each, maybe. Provide significant script coverage for client pitches. Participated in project marketability research, tracked, served as the first book, strictly kind of edges, blah blah blah. Okay, yeah, okay. And then we have regular jobs. Regular jobs, right? Bar manager. I mean, that's dope. You're a bar manager. Like, I love being a bartender. Oversaw staff of 40, of whom reported to me. Schedule, train, all blah. These are things that just need to be bulleted out. Utilize across the page. If you utilize across the page, you take out the paragraphs, you bullet things out, make things concise, you're going to be on one good solid page here. Because you have a lot of good stuff. There's some good stuff here. We can make it happen. Okay, and then you have education. And even your education is somehow in paragraph form. So I really need you to bullet things out, make things concise, work with lists, columns, these things to make information easily digestible. That is the challenge for you, Patrick. I love how maintain organization and cleanliness of a 120-foot long bar. I don't know why I'm impressed with that, but I'm like, that's dope. Because like clean bars like are happy bars, right? Scheduled and trained all staff to ensure a consistent guest experience, curated beers, effective selections by small events. And these are all great things. Like the fact that you are a bar manager is really good to know, because that means you can handle a lot of people. You have that customer service, those people skills, and you can handle a lot at the same time. I feel like if you were a barista, you were a bartender, or a server of some sort, or maybe even like a cook or something, you definitely will know how to manage time. You can prioritize, you can work with people. And so I think this is something that is really great that you have on your resume. Just make sure that it is not surpassing one page. I think it's really great. And you want to make sure that what you have here is the label should be above it, would be like other experience or work history or something like that. Oh, you worked there for like 7 years. Like you really did a career change. Good for you for like doing the thing. So like great job, which is eliminate the paragraphs, make it concise, stick with the color. Also like you changed your color in there somewhere. Like you added the Boston Strangler and the parenting. Those are different colors. So just make sure you're consistent. Okay. So all the resumes I got were great. All great things. But we just want to make it easy on the reader. Easy on the reader. Okay. I'm sorry. Obi-Wan, you had me laughing. Holy academic essay, Batman. I mean, if you're not highly motivated, you're probably in the wrong industry. No need to put it down on the page. This is true. I always say that because people are like, I'm a hard worker. Like, bro, if you're working in film and you're trying to get a job in film, I'm sure that you're a hard worker. Like, I'm pretty sure of it. I just, when people are like, I'm a hard worker, you don't need to say it. I feel like we're all hard workers in our own right. And then people are like, no, some people are lazy. Like, well, maybe you saw them at a wrong time, or maybe they're just not, if people are working in film, mostly they're a hard worker, because we work like fucking crazy days. So looking at my personal statement again, I use passion. I agree with you. It's a buzzword. Do I keep it or tweak it? Girl, okay, let's go back to yours. Let's see. Experience productions with a passion for advocating for more. So you're different, Amanda. And I said that very strongly. Because you said with a passion for advocating for more representation of the Latinx communities. That's different in film, right? Your passion makes sense because you're advocating for a minority. You're not advocating for your passion for film. Bit different. That's you're talking about like some social justice type stuff, which is completely different. So that's why I've never criticized that, because that's a different category where passion, I think, is definitely allowed. Sorry, I got real whoa about that. So no, Emma, you don't have to. I feel like things like highly motivated and passion were great about 15 years ago, but not anymore. True. I think so. Because now we're in an environment where everyone has to work hard, or else they just don't survive. I think they're mostly used now to get through the computer screening of resumes. Okay, so the AI stuff, like you can I don't know, I saw some like crazy hack where you can use a section on in your text, and you can use a section And say, for example, like maybe you have the right next to episodic television experience, you go right next to that, you write highly motivated worker, team player, teamwork, all these just buzzwords that the computer will pick up. Or like, so if you see a post on LinkedIn or Indeed or something and they ask for certain characteristics like public speaking and all that stuff, and then if you don't have it on your resume anywhere, if you put like, you type it out in that and then you just make it white or whatever color your backdrop is, then the computer will pick it up without you actually having to see it. So like there's a lovely AI like computer screening hack for you. You can, whatever you want the computer to pick up, if you don't want to, I guess, crowd your resume, you can put it in white, and it's just like, just make sure it's in text form. If it's, just make sure it's like in, because some people would like try to put like, they might like put, it has to be in the text though. It has to be like within the text. So if you just put it on there somewhere, you can just hide it, make it white. You're probably like, what did she just say? This is crazy. I think they're mostly used now. Yeah. So yeah, especially in the corporate world and on pages like Indeed. Nice hack. Love it. Yeah. That's, so you can put it if you want. I've never really, it's been a very long time since I've actually applied for a job. Like during the strike, I applied for a job at Nespresso because I love coffee. And I'm like, yes, I'll fucking work for Nespresso. Like while the people are deciding whether or not they're, going to give them a good deal or not, But I did not get the job because I was like, that was the first time I applied to like a computer, like applying application thing, because in film, I've only given my resume to a person or an email. It's never been through a system, right? So I probably didn't have enough experience because it's been a long time since I've been a barista. The last time I was a barista was like in 2019. 2019. It's been a long time since I was a barista. I mean, I'm very grateful for the fact that like I don't have to be a barista anymore. But I can still make you a really good cappuccino. I'm pretty sure it's just like riding a bike. So if you have any questions, I'm at just right at my limit of an hour and a half. This is a really good estimate that I gave, an hour and a half. So I hope everyone has a really good Friday. Do something fun this weekend. Get some rest. Do something productive. I don't know what a creative endeavors you're trying to do. Me, I'm trying to write this book. I believe I've finished my first chapter. The first chapter is on goals, so I'm trying to make sure that I get to the next chapter, and I'm trying to debate like what the next chapter is. I think deciding on like what chapter is next is like the hardest part. Like this whole writing a book process is very interesting because I've never encountered this process at all, and I can definitely put together workshops, and I can put together PowerPoints, and like I can speak and all these things, but like writing a book is actually a way different beast. So that is what I'm working on right now. My Set PA class is in June. Just give an update, is in June. It is almost full. So if you're trying to get into my Set PA class, please, by all means, sign up on my website, Beyond Film School. I have like 4 spots left. I think there's like 4 spots left, honestly. 4? Yeah, 4. So I have 4 spots left for that. And then, yeah, so I finally finished this book. I should tell you guys about this book. So this is a really dope book. I just finished it today. It took me a while to read it. It's like 400. How many pages is this? Hold on. It's like 426 pages. So it's a bit longer than I normally read, but it's a very, very good book. Jerry Zeismer is a first AD. He worked on, well, he died a few years ago, but he worked on Apocalypse Now, Annie, Rocky 2. He worked on Jerry Maguire, and he talks about how he came up in the business. He used to be a school teacher. And then he was like one of the first trainees who did the director's training program out in LA. And he just talked about how he worked with all these famous directors. And it's such a good book. If you guys are trying to be an AD, it's definitely a book that you were like, okay, this could be my life. But like if you are an AD now, like I definitely recommend this book. It's so good. Ready when you are. And for some reason it's crazy expensive on Amazon, so I definitely recommend buying it used if you can, or they might have it in the library. So like you can totally get this in the library somewhere. But it's very, very good. It's like a rare topic, and it's a rare book because there aren't many books that talk about being a first AD. There are a lot of books that talk about being in Hollywood, and like I have all those books back there are like certain topics about Hollywood and how to be a PA or whatever, and like certain stories of their experience. But like this is actually a kind of a rare book. And also directors have, there are many director books, but like a first AD book is very, very rare. So like I highly recommend reading this book. It was really, really good. And it was a lot of I could relate to a lot of things that happened, like the encounters with the cast, dealing with certain directors or producers or like the studio and stuff. Like, I was like, well, yep, that tracks. And you'll be surprised at how much didn't change. And he was doing movies, like he was working with Barbra Streisand and like Mel Brooks, I think he was. And I think him and his wife had encountered like working with Mel Gibson when he was a child actor. I think it was like 16. So there are lots of things in that book that I was like, wow, this is really great. So definitely recommend that book, Ready When You Are. Writing my book. What else am I doing? So 80 Problems video should be out very soon. Hopefully, I want to get it out before March ends, and I have like 3 days to do it. I have to do it by April 1st, so that's my goal, to get another video out. So that is it for now for this resume review. Thank you for joining me for this lovely Friday. Do something great this weekend. Do something fun. And that's it for now. I shall see you next time, guys.